Welcome all. Just a friendly reminder to silence your cell phone.
Good morning, family, friends. Welcome. Would you please take this moment to ensure that no one's cell phones, electronic devices, etc., will be an interruption during the service. Mine's on Do Not Disturb. Family, friends, loved ones, welcome. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of Diana Michele Dascalu-Joffe. Diana was a beacon in this community and everything to this family. Her sudden death is a tragedy that we are all just beginning to respond to. My name is Emily Miller. I'm a life cycle celebrant. It is my honor to offer these words in tribute to Diana's memory. And I do so with the sincere hope that this celebration of her life can offer some signposts on your journey with this grief. In times like this, it can really seem like our language, English, can lack the words to describe something as wrong as someone like Diana being taken too soon. But our human nature and the fabric of community have always guided us towards this response to a death, to gather in our grief. It is right to set aside this time to honor her life. Together, we face the magnitude of Diana's loss, and together we contemplate what it means for us to continue on without her. In support of each other and in support of these loved ones most touched by this tragedy, today we are offering our presence, we offer our witness, we offer our caring, and we offer our memories. As community, we perform this act of gathering to make a sacred dedication of Diana's legacy. Let this time and space be blessed by our intention to honor the remarkable way she touched the lives of everyone here. May our grief be eased by this humble effort of sharing, of carrying on her memory today and from this day forward. In this ceremonial space that we're creating, please know that whatever reactions and emotions you might feel, they're welcome. It is right to feel sad. It's good to cry. It's normal to feel frustrated, angry, unresolved, or even disbelief. It's also good to laugh. It's really good to share a story with a smile. Diana would want every one of you in this room and watching on the internet to know that your grief, your feelings, they're important. No matter how it feels today, no matter what form it's taking for you right now, or what form it takes in the future. Let the ceremony today be a tribute to that remarkable way in which Diana connected to the spirit of everyone around her. May we all be able to carry some sliver of that energy of hers with us as a tribute and as proof that she can never be lost. It's actually literally true that she can never be lost. We're going to ensure it with the work of our celebration today and with the work when we carry on her legacy moving forward. But the fact that she could never be lost was already going to be true anyway. It's true in a universal sense, in like the laws of physics. There's a beautiful reading called The Eulogy from a Physicist by Aaron Freeman. The poem explains how it's fundamental science that our energy can only be transformed. It can never be destroyed. I'm going to read a section of this reading from Freeman. It's in the second person, so it's addressed to our honoree, Diana. You would want a physicist to speak at your funeral. You would want the physicist to talk to your grieving family about the conservation of energy, so they will understand that your energy has not died. You would want them to be reminded of the first law of thermodynamics, that no energy gets created in this universe and none can ever be destroyed. All your energy, every vibration, every BTU of heat, every wave of each of your particles remain in this world. Freeman used these academic words. It's a bookish, scientific way of using physics to describe the concept, how after a death, a loved one is changed in form, but still in their own way with us. The reading is not so scholarly that it can't be comforting, but I think everyone here knows the metaphor that would better fit Diana's story is the one that comes from nature. Nature teaches us that to live on this earth is to be endlessly connected to every other living thing, past, present, and future. That universal connection to what is right, what is just, and what is natural defines Diana's story, and it underlies the reasons we are all here today. As we prepare ourselves to tell her story and honor those connections between us, I invite you to take part first in a short visualization exercise. Bring your awareness to the present moment. If you're comfortable, allow your eyes to close. Take a deep, relaxing breath and allow a comfortable rhythm of your breathing to guide you to a picture in your mind's eye of a place in nature. Maybe your place is a forest, a meadow, a mountaintop, the river's edge. Maybe it is someplace familiar, like a backyard, a garden. As you behold nature's beauty around you, a leaf flutters by on the breeze, on its path to find a place on the ground. We consider how the summer leaf, the symbol of this year's new growth, can become the autumn glory and then fall. On the earth, the leaf becomes the soil where it can be food for future plants. Those plants use the leaves of them that have gone before. They combine it with the sun's light and create new life, life that can become food for insects, food for birds, for animals, food for people. In your scene of natural beauty, if there's a body of water nearby, consider the source. Consider the journey the water takes. The winter's ice and snow fall high in the mountains and are transformed into life-giving water by spring. As the water flows on its course, it nourishes everything it touches, and it gains in speed and power by its limitless ability to rejoin itself. As it reaches the warm sea, the water is tossed by the waves, energized by the sun, and rises glittering into the air. Then it's invisible, transformed but ever present, ready to begin the journey anew. Slowly begin to follow your breathing back into this present moment. And when you're ready, begin to open your eyes. May you see now in this community present today the same indelible connections as the trees in the forest and all the waters that have ever flowed in our veins. The laws of nature bind us, even when our busy lives seem to separate us from knowing it. Diana had a rare and lifelong connection to that knowledge, and I am honored to be able to now share a part of that story in tribute to her today. Diana's story begins in Romania, where she was born. She was the delight of her parents, Nick and Michele, and the center of their world. Together, they made great sacrifice to come to this country and be the best parents they could be. The family moved to New York when Diana was still a toddler. As a young girl in school, Diana's teachers loved her. She was a perfect student, maybe a little shy, but she liked school so much because of the big ideas there. Diana had an easy way with her, both peers and teachers. And she learned early on that doing well in school was like a boost to help get her to the places she really wanted to be. When Diana was 11, the family moved out to Pennsylvania to a house in the woods. Surrounded by the forest, with a long bus ride to watch the seasons change out the window, that's when Diana's deep connection to the world of nature was first kindled. In high school, she was already signing up for environmental studies electives. She also played soccer, ran track, and established a deep love for music, playing the French horn. She had close friends in all areas of her high school life. Even at that young age, Diana always had a remarkable ability to make connections with people across social lines and from all backgrounds, no matter who they were. If there was a situation where someone was being quiet off to the side, Diana had the ability and the desire to make a connection with that person. It came from a completely sincere place in her. She just wanted to know them. She wanted to understand the ways they were connected and how she could help them. Diana's love for the natural world and her unique ability to make everyone she spent time with feel valued came from that same place within her. I'm reading the same sentence again. I was saying the remarkable thing about Diana is, I believe the connection to the natural world and to her mission in life came from the same source of her interpersonal connection with the people she loved. And college is when Diana really found herself. By then, there was no doubt that Diana was going to do something big in this world, that her mission was all of our mission and no smaller. College Diana was really fun to be around, but she had no tolerance for anyone who was closed-minded, and she would not hesitate to verbally spar with someone to try and expand their worldviews. You always knew where Diana stood on an issue, and for some reason, you would always want to be on her side, too. One day when she was still in college, Diana asked her mom for advice on how Diana was going to be able to make the biggest impact on the major world issues she saw around us. Diana wanted to tackle the biggest ones: climate change, protecting the environment, protecting those who can't speak for themselves. Mom, Michele said, Diana, if you want to be able to make changes in this world, I think you need to go to law school. And so Diana went to law school. She had a lot to save, and she didn't want to take the easiest path, but the one that was going to boost her mission the farthest, be the most useful in the path that she knew she was on in life. It was a good thing that she did go to law school, because that is where Diana met Brian Joffe. Diana's family and friends knew right away that her partnership with him was going to expand the impact she could have on this world. Diana and Brian came from different backgrounds, but shared a deep connection to the environment and to their place in our global community. They each took different paths in their work, but the strength of their love and support for one another furthered the impacts of both of their efforts. Brian and Diana were married. We saw some beautiful photos in the slideshow. At first in their marriage, their law careers and social lives were more than enough to occupy them. But over time, parenthood, for the first time, started to seem like a real possibility. Brian and Diana's was the type of true partnership where it seemed like the one was always able to lighten the load for the other. And starting a family became to seem like a new way that they could make the world a better place. Diana took parenthood as seriously as she took everything else in her life. The children were the center of her world. One of her guiding principles was always being accessible to her family, even though her work was demanding, and even though her mission was so important. Throughout her whole life, Diana's presence and her willingness to share it was one of her greatest gifts, and motherhood offered the perfect outlet to lavish that gift on her family. When Noah and Emily were born, the family still lived outside of DC in Arlington, Virginia. They loved the community there, and Diana found a connection with the other parents. Life and work was fulfilling in DC, but the opportunity through Brian's work to move to Colorado offered an even better environment to raise the kids, closer to nature, close to the mountains. Diana and Brian took the opportunity of that move to custom build their home here. They were able to build Diana's dream home, a zero energy home fueled by clean solar power, literally creating an example for the world they were trying to make better. That house has become a symbol for Diana of walking the walk of her work and of the nourishing habitat she was always working to create for her family and for the whole world. From this new home, the family instantly connected to and deeply loved the community here in Colorado as well. Diana made many great friends in the neighborhood and among the other parents in Noah and Emily's school, sports, and extracurricular activities. The life in Colorado with family offered a combination of home, family, of work, community, mission, and nature's beauty everywhere. She still had that ineffable ability to connect with anyone she would meet. She had a wonderful home and family where she was able to live the values she wanted to see in the world. She had a wonderful group of colleagues and friends to share the work and pass the journey. She had a career with the satisfaction of knowing she was always going after what is right and working to make the world a better place. This life's work for Diana of making the world a better place, quite humbly, it's hard to say, but it's a work in progress. It's unfinished. Diana always knew that she was going after the biggest of problems. But none of us knew that she would have so little time to see the work through. This community of parents, activists, friends, loved ones, that she has cultivated so intentionally, we've been left with a giant hole. Think of a mighty tree fallen in a forest. At first, there's this huge glaring gap in the skyline where it used to stand. But slowly, the understory plants can rise, grow. They receive more light. One day, physically, the gap is filled. A perceptive eye might be able to make out the stump and see the outline of where the tree once stood. But in its function, this ecosystem continues on. It remains healthy, each playing their role. 100 small efforts can take the place of each outsized effort. And each of us will be able to carry on a piece of Diana's story in our own way. Coming next, we have reserved some time for anyone who wants to help us share that story. Share a memory, voice a tribute to Diana, and we'll ask you to come to the microphone and speak briefly. If you should decide to speak, know that your words are a gift to this family and to our sacred task of sowing and harvesting Diana's memory forever. If you should decide to remain silent, know that your memories of Diana are equally cherished and just as nourishing. Like the sides of a gemstone, each facet of Diana's life and her connections, they each reflect her light in a unique way. And we each behold a unique perspective of what that shine and brilliance meant. Therefore, it is right and it is fitting, and we hope it is healing, to share some of your stories of Diana, or to speak on what her light illuminated in your life. I believe it's Brian going to come up and speak first, and then we have two other speakers that I know of. The microphone up here is attached to the podium, so we can't be passing it around, but after those three eulogies that we have planned, if anyone else should want to come up and share a memory, you can maybe come down on this side and start to make a cue to be the fourth, fifth, etc. Brian.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful eulogy, Emily. It's impossible to give a full picture of Diana's remarkable life in the short time we have here, but your story really helps everyone to get a bit better picture of who she was. And I also want to thank you all for the unbelievable outpouring of support, of love, and for sharing your stories about Diana with our family the past few weeks. So I spent half my life with Diana. We were together almost 23 years and married for close to 18 of them. We met in October 2000, 2 months into our first year of law school, and instantly had a connection that grew into a deep love for each other. Our first date was a small romantic restaurant in Vermont called Stone Soup. It was a 4-hour conversation that went by in the blink of an eye, and one that we wanted to never end. And the conversation didn't end throughout our lives together. We were a strong support for each other through law school, as study partners and during our internships in Washington, D.C., and as partners in our law school moot court competition, among other challenges. After graduating, we moved to Arlington, Virginia, and spent the summer studying for our bar exams before diving into our careers. And Diana knew what she wanted to, she knew she wanted to work in the environmental nonprofit world early on. She wanted to advocate on behalf of people and communities impacted by environmental pollution and to stop the impacts from climate change. She took the struggle of others as if it was her own, and that was true in her work and her life and her relationships. Her first job at law school was with the Natural Resource Defense Council, NRDC, and she was the Anacostia River Cleanup Director in Washington, D.C. Mike Tidwell from the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, or CCAN, came to speak at NRDC one day about his work, and she instantly knew that was the organization she wanted to be a part of. She reached out to Mike and told him, "I have to work for you. You're exactly the climate group I want to give my life to. Please hire me." Mike recently told me that he never had someone actively recruit him before, and he knew he had to bring her on, even though it was a small group of 3 people at the time. Over the 10 years she worked for CCAN, she sued fossil fuel polluters, she managed and grew their staff, she raised money, she handled their budgets and established their legal agenda to accomplish their goals. And her impact at CCAN was far-reaching to those in and outside of the organization, including the communities and people she fought for. In Diana's honor, CCAN has established the Diana Dascalu-Joffe Memorial Fund for Legal Interns. This fund will help law students in the DC area gain summer legal experience and follow in Diana's footsteps as a fierce defender of the environment. I can't tell you how much she would have loved this and would have absolutely been honored by this tribute. And I know Mike and others from CCAN are out there watching today, and our family would like to thank you all for this great tribute as well. So when Noah and Emily were born, everything changed for Diana. She never really contemplated motherhood until we met. But when the kids were born, it was love at first sight, and family became her priority. Everything she did was for them and for their benefit and to be with them. She was an only child, but quickly came to understand the close bond that siblings share, and she adored the way they loved and supported one another. She always said they were her greatest achievement, and she found so much joy in life being their mom. She instilled in them the importance of being good people first and foremost, having compassion and empathy for others, a love and respect for our natural environment, to speak up for what is right, and living life to their fullest. Watching them discover the love and passion for things important to them at school and with their friends and social lives and their sports, it filled her soul. Many people don't know that Diana was a very passionate sports fan too. And that certainly was true when it came to watching Noah and Emily play the sports that they loved. Noah and Emily, you continue to make your mom proud, and she's always going to be a part of you. Diana deeply loved and respected her parents and the sacrifice they made to come to this country. They have played a big part in supporting our family and helping to raise our children, and she will live on through them. Her family in Romania and abroad remained close to her heart too, even though she didn't get to see them often. Of course, her family, as she called them, were just as important. Her closest friends were family to her, and so crucial in helping to shape the person she was and her views of the world. Now, when we moved to Colorado, Diana continued to fight for the environment. She accepted a job as an attorney at the nationally recognized organization, Center for Biological Diversity. She fought to stop oil and gas exploration on public lands in the West. She loved the work, her colleagues, and the coalition she built that worked so diligently to protect the environment in the region. She also joined the effort with other staff to form a union to ensure increased rights and protections for employees. Several of her former colleagues reached out to me recently to let me know how much her efforts in this regard meant to them and how they contributed to the betterment of the organization overall. Those who know her best know that she was fiery and passionate, fiercely loyal. She challenged the beliefs and perspectives of those she cared about, but tried to do so in a positive way. She truly cared about those closest to her, even if she didn't agree with you about an issue. In the end, she always embraced others for their unique views and valued those that were authentic and who stood by their beliefs. Diana felt strongly that all of us were a part of a larger global community, and she respected people from all cultures and different backgrounds. She loved to travel and immerse herself in new places, whether visiting family in Romania, traveling across Europe, vacationing in the Caribbean, during our honeymoon in Costa Rica, or the 42 states she was able to visit during her life. She often referred to nature and the environment as her religion. This is the place where she found peace and spirit and energy for life. That's especially true since we moved here, and she really enjoyed hiking and camping and exploring places across Colorado. She was a true lover of all animals, especially her dogs. Stella and Kayla previously, and our current dogs, Violet and Sunny, and her beloved cat, Bobby, growing up too. She wanted to spend as much of her time as possible with any animal she could be around. Finally, she cared so much for this community and the people we've met here. She wanted to contribute to the success of Noah and Emily's schools. She actively supported the PTA for Willow Elementary, and most recently volunteered to take on the concessions for Noah's soccer team at Northfield High School. It gave her tremendous satisfaction and joy to play a part and to get to know others giving their time to do the same. Noah, Emily, and I want to thank you all again for celebrating with us in person and virtually. And a special thanks to all of those that were able to travel here today to be with us. It's so heartwarming to see you all and to hear from so many. She left a lasting legacy, and we will all fondly remember the incredible mark she left on this world. She is gone far too soon, but Noah, Emily, and I, we know in our hearts that she'll continue to be with us in spirit always. Thanks.
Next, we have Shari Rao with a tribute.
My name is Sharda Rao Glickman. I was lucky enough to be in Diana's life for two separate segments. The first was junior high and high school, and the second was when we were young professionals in the Washington, D.C. area for our 20s and 30s. When Brian announced her death on social media, my phone had blown up with texts and group chats and an outpouring of grief. Many friends disclosed that the last time they saw her in person was at the end of high school. They didn't know her as an adult, but I did, and I'd like to talk about that part first. This half of our story begins in the early 2000s. After law school for her, grad school for me, our career paths put us in the Washington, D.C. area for over a decade. She found me on social media and immediately made a plan for us to meet at the Chichow Lounge. And that's when I met Brian and all of their Vermont law friends who had also moved to D.C. She filled me in on all the details of her life that I missed since she graduated from high school, and it was like we picked up right where we left off. The next decade plus was full of gatherings, happy hours to celebrate accomplishments at work, birthday parties, pet sitting, carpooling back to the Poconos, dinner parties, holidays, clubbing, fundraisers, the list goes on and on. I attended her wedding, and a decade later, she and Brian attended our wedding. A few months after that, Mark and I threw a happy hour to say goodbye to our DC friends before we moved to Los Angeles. I remember Diana saying that she had to work late that day, but she managed to get out to Bethesda and to spend a little bit of time with us before we left. I told her how sad I was to be leaving her behind in DC, and she whispered that she and Brian are actually working on plans to move to Colorado shortly. How wonderful that the universe had put us in the same place for roughly the same window of our careers. Now, to our high school friends who didn't know her in this window, I want to tell you my first observation that first day we reconnected. My favorite thing about teenage Diana remained true into her adult years. After all these years, she still knew how to give you her full attention and make you feel like you are the only person in the room. Now, this is really hard for most people to do, but Diana had mastered this art. And I think that's why there are so many people that can claim to be her best friend, not just me. She was attentive and respectful, and she knew how to make a person feel very close to her. Now, to our friends in DC who didn't know her in high school, I'd like to share my earlier experience with her. It all started in junior high school. We sat next to each other in pep band and hit it off. And I remember wondering how on earth this cool, smart, intelligent, funny, pretty, and kind eighth grader could possibly be talking to a lowly seventh grader like me. Even though we were at a basketball game, as I described earlier, she made me feel like I was the only person in the room. Now, a few weeks later, she had a gap in after-school care, so she came to our house daily until her parents could pick her up. And with these frequent visits, she became an honorary fourth daughter/sister in our house, and even sometimes called my parents mom and dad. This resumed for a bit in high school, and then eventually she got her own driver's license and was able to get herself home. But she still came over because we had so much fun together. Our afternoons were filled with gossiping, playing games, bonding, and of course, getting our homework done, and music making. So throughout high school, we played in concert and marching band, sang in choir, participated in scholastic scrimmage, and learned German together. Now, for those of you who met Diana later in life, you may not know that she was an excellent French horn player. She took private lessons, she made it to district band, and during her senior year, she performed in an adjudication. Now, for that solo, she needed an accompanist, and I played the piano well in those days, so she hired me. The only person who heard us perform this piece together was the solo festival judge, who gave her a well-deserved superior rating. As I was thinking of what I'd like to contribute to Diana's memorial, I realized it was music that brought her into my life. I saw her only once during our college years. We had both returned for our high school band reunion. Just like junior high pep band, I was playing saxophone and sitting next to her playing the French horn as if no time had passed. And that was the last time I heard her play the French horn, perfectly bookending this first chapter of our lives. Now, unfortunately, there is no recording of the two of us playing this piece. So I found my old piano part and I recruited a local high school student who remains off camera to record this beautiful solo that Diana brought into my life. Now, none of you got to hear this piece in 1996, not even her parents. So I wish to share this lovely melody with you now. So please enjoy Aria by Alessandro Stradella. Diana, thank you for being my friend and my sister. I really miss all of our adventures together. I love you.
It was wonderful. Thank you. Doesn't music have a way of just cutting right to the heart of us? I think that's why Diana had such an affinity with music. That right at the core of what mattered, that was where she was most comfortable. Our next speaker is Shazia Khan.
Hi, I'm Shazia Khan. I knew Diana for 23 years. I met her the first week of law school. I'm sorry. Brian and Diana and I met. We were all in the same section in law school. We met in August 2000. We were together during really pivotal moments in our lives. We were together all throughout law school. We remained very close. We moved to DC together. We got married within the same year. We were in each other's weddings. We got pregnant within 6 months of each other. We raised our children together. I saw Diane a couple of years ago. We saw Brian for dinner a couple of months ago, and we're making plans to go skiing together in the winter. We'd been texting back and forth and making plans. I thought the next time we came here would be to see her help. I know it's hit all of you so hard. Diana was really special to all of you. She was really special to me. I'm so happy that her legacy will live on in her children. There's the time that I met her, I always felt like she was like a bird with these bright blue, curious eyes, so enthusiastic, so intellectually curious, so passionate, really caring about what was right, a real advocate for justice. I was really inspired by her. I really loved her. Yeah. She taught us so much about what it means to be passionate about something, about fighting for something that's bigger than you. Shari was right. Dad was really good at making you feel like you were the only person in the room. And for somebody so smart and so passionate and so earnest, surprisingly, she was also really, really fun. Really fun. You would think that she was just this nerd who just didn't know how to have a good time, but she really, really did. I thought I would be much more composed when I got up here. So I'm sorry. She's my friend, and I'll miss her. I'm so happy that she had kids because her legacy will live on in you guys. She's an amazing person. And so I love you very much, Diana. Think about you every day, and I really miss you.
We have time if anyone would like to come and share a tribute that is not planned in advance with us, you're more than welcome to come down and approach the podium.
Good morning, all, and thank you for this opportunity to be up here. I really appreciate this, which is really largely because Brian totally skipped over the fact that I'm super old and I ignore social media. And he actually reached out to me on cell phones, as we used to back in the day, to let me know that this was happening and make me welcome, because he is very much like Diana in that way. I'm Danny Norica. I have had the absolute honor of knowing Diana since I was also in junior high. And my love to Shari and Shazia, because what they expressed up here, and I'm remembering back because I am the nerd who wasn't fun. But to Shari and Shazia, who are tons of fun, to their point, it didn't really matter. Diana was here for everyone. What I really did want to add, though, to the amazing outpouring this morning was that one thing you should know about Diana as well, and I can remember from back in the day, is that you know, you've met all of these folks who have very high-powered careers, and you know Diana is no different, right? So you can just imagine both of us in junior high. I'm a doctor, and we wound up in home ec class. Diana and I were not good at home ec class. And routinely got points off for things like presentation. So then Diana and I wound up in shop together. We were the only two girls in all of shop in our entire high school. And I say this because Diana was not afraid of anything and was driven as all get out. And she didn't really need whatever structure you wanted to try to put what she thought was the right thing to do in. But she was also sort of super driven. And I just want to say, and I know Noah and Emily, you probably don't remember me because you were like little the last time I physically saw you. But, you know, Diana and I were not women who grew up talking about motherhood all of the time. We had careers. We were going to do really exciting things, and you heard she did all of the exciting things. But what I want you guys to hear more than anything, because you know I didn't see it, but I could feel it from anywhere, and I know you already know, is that once you two were here, you changed everything. She was not someone who, you know, walked around, I'm going to be a mother and that is my primary focus, until you were born. You absolutely changed everything for her. And I can't even tell you how much she loves you. And you could feel it from however far away you were, and I knew it the whole time. So I just want to make sure that as we sort of explore all the beautiful things that Diana has done in her life, that the two folks who were the biggest gift to her with Brian, thank you so much for all of you did to take care of someone that we love so much.
To everyone who shared their voice today, thank you. This celebration depends on your sharing. And to those of you who are just simply here and listening, thank you. This celebration depends on your sharing. Now, as we have voiced our tributes individually, let us also bring them together in prayer. The prayer we'll use is a common one called "We Remember Them" by Sylvan Kamens and Rabbi Jack Reimer. And we will read it in the traditional call and response style. So when I get to the end of each stanza, we all say together, we remember her. After the last stanza and the last we remember her, we will close the prayer with a moment of silence to seal our intention to always embody Diana's memory in our daily lives. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember her. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. At the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember her. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember her. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember her. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. As long as we live, she too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember her. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember her. When we have achievements that are based on hers, we remember her. For as long as we live, Diana too will live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. Diana, you have journeyed ahead of us in your transition to the eternal and the everywhere. Today, we bid farewell to the shape and form we once beheld and embrace you in your new state. Let us be reminded that to behold or to defend nature, to behold or to defend what is right, is to stand with your legacy, and that your limitless connection to the world around us will always be a nearby source of strength. Diana, as you have been loosed from the limitations of a physical body, so may our loved ones here today be free from darkness or doubts. As you have been remade into the ether and the wind, so may our hearts be light and bright when your memory is near. And Diana, when you return as a flowering prairie or a branching tree, let us always find in that beauty the strength you taught us to give voice to that which is eternal. Loved ones, we came together today as a community bereaved, and we will go from here still bearing that grief and that love, but also we will be somehow changed and starting anew. May these words of our lips and the efforts of our hearts now bind this community in tribute, in mission, in caring for others, and in the sacred obligation of keeping Diana's memory alive. You honor her when you recognize your light in others, and you make the world a better place when you live in the lessons Diana has shown us. In just a few moments, we'll receive instructions from the mortuary on the end of the service, the closing. My wish for you is this. May you always find inspiration and strength in living the mission Diana showed us. I pray that you will all know the thrill of standing up for what is right and what is universal, and that Diana's memory will stand with you wherever she is needed. Let this community be comforted by the recognition we have voiced today. Let them see Diana's spirit wherever there is beauty of nature. And let them see the work of our hands, of her hands, whenever a community comes together in pursuit of what is right, this day and forevermore. Go now in peace. Namaste.
Everyone, that concludes our that's here today. In just a moment, I'll escort the family back to the side room and they'll have some time. Just thank you so much for being here and sharing the love. Be well, take care of each other. We'll play the slideshow again. You're welcome to enjoy that as long as you need to. Thank you for being here. Yes.